not only placing the students of the college in many of the top-notch companies, including the Big Four, but also in sculpting them to become industry-ready by the means of various skill development seminars and training sessions. The success of the cell is accredited to the persistent efforts of our dedicated teams of the principals, sir, teachers, and students. Before starting the session, I once again thank our honorable speaker for sparing his valuable time to enlighten our students on the significant topic of what employers in the financial sector expect from college graduates. Before we pass the forum to our respected speaker, I would request our convener, Mrs. Purvi Dhingra, to kindly take up the stage and address the session.
Thank you so much, Anchal. It's a pleasure, of course, having you here, Nidhish. So I'll just briefly introduce the teachers and the students who are a part of the placement cell. So we have Dr. Namita Gandhi, Dr. Varsha Baveja, Dr. Vibhas Verma, Dr. Aparna Notial, Dr. Anju Chibbar, Dr. Jakpal, Dr. Manish, Dr. Minu, and Dr. Srashti Tomar, who are a part of the faculty who've taken over the placement cell quite recently. And from amongst the students who've been continuing from the last year are Anchal Srivastav, who just introduced the session to us. She's the president. Anishka Jain, who's the vice president. Akansha Verma, who's the social media and content head. We have Harshita Negi, who's our outreach head. Kriti Johar as the PR head. Sejal Parihar, who's the data management head. I think I'll pass on the formal invitation to Dr. Agarwal to take over. He's the one who's always in a hurry, rushing, and he's getting the whole of us, almost like the Pied Piper of Hamelin, following him at this moment, over the last few months at least. Sir, please go ahead.
Great.
Dr. Agarwal, I think you're muted. Yeah.
Is it okay? Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Survi. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Deshbandhu College and Placement Cell of Deshbandhu College, I extend a very warm welcome to our distinguished speaker today, Mr. Nidhish Singh, our convener, Placement Cell, very dynamic, Dr. Survi Dhingra, Dr. Namita, Dr. Aparna, Dr. Varsha, I'm not seeing Dr. Varsha, and all other members, teacher members of the placement cell, all the participants and all the students present here of the placement cell for a very interesting and worthwhile session on the financial sector. As we all know that our speaker today, Mr. Nidhish Singh, is the Vice President of JP Morgan, one of the largest investment banks in the United States. It is a very good opportunity for all of us to become competent of financial sector workplace, which would really help us in future as it's one of the most demanding sectors. Mr. Nidhish, let me introduce my college as well. The Deshbandhu College is one of the oldest college and is the oldest college out of the campus. It has been established in 1952. It began with only 72 students. Presently, we are having more than 5,500 students, and in the next 2 years, it will be crossing more than 6,000 students. We are having more than 200 faculty members, more than 150 staff members. Almost all hardcore subjects, hardcore departments we are having in our college, whether they are science, whether they are humanities, whether they are commerce. So we are having almost all the streams, 18 courses presently we are running. In the next year, we shall be running 19 courses. One more course will be added, philosophy honors in the college. We are having very upgraded labs, chemistry, geology, botany, very lush green campus over here. Although we are the oldest one, but still we are managing to compete with the modern colleges as well. Friends, a better financial sector is the prime to help deliver on what this 21st century definitely needs. That is higher employment, economic growth, and good living standards. A strong financial sector is a sign of healthy economy. Therefore, we must be aware of it. However, financial sector in India is predominantly a banking sector, with the commercial banks accounting for more than 64% of the total assets held by financial system, to the best of my knowledge. I hope our students would learn more efficiently from our esteemed speaker today. I appreciate the efforts of students, our placement cell, our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Aditya Saxena, in bringing this forward. I hope this webinar will be helpful, fruitful, and beneficial for the future ventures. Thank you very much. My best wishes are. Thank you. Over to you, Surbhi. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. I think, Anchal, let me make this beginning and invite Dr. Aparna Nautiyal to kindly formally invite our speaker.
A very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Placement Cell Deshbandhu College, I, Dr. Aparna Nautiyal, welcome our distinguished speaker, Mr. Nidesh Singh, our principal, Sir Dr. Rajiv Agarwal, convener, Dr. Surbhi Dhingra, esteemed colleagues, and dear students. Today, we are fortunate enough to have with us our distinguished speaker, Mr. Nidesh Singh, who has spared his valuable time to interact with our students. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Nidesh Singh, who is presently holding a major position of Vice President in one of the leading bank, that is JP Morgan. He's data science and automation expert, ACCA advocate. He is a competent finance and management professional with 15 years of qualitative and enriching experience with comprehensive knowledge of various GAAP, accounting, and finance principles, concepts, and practices. Along with that, he is also having an experience of working in Ireland for 4 years and handling of projects from Europe and USA. He has worked in top positions of some well-reputed organizations like Citibank, SS&C, Sapient Global Markets, State Street International, and many others. He has undertaken many financial and management projects of many reputed clients. He is currently pursuing his PhD in Business Administration, Finance and Investment Funds from SP Jain School of Global Management, Dubai. He has licenses and certificates of many more courses like data science math skills, data science methodology, also a certificate of member of chartered body in investment and finance from many reputed organizations. Well, his list of achievements is endless. Well, from his achievements, I can only say that he has gained many things at such a young age with his hard work and sincerity. So without taking much of your time, I would now hand over the session to our distinguished guest, Mr. Nidesh Singh, to share his experiences and words of wisdom with our aspiring students. Over to you, Mr. Nidesh Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Aparna, for the introduction, and Dr. Rajiv for details of the college, its history, different courses, the strengths of the students and the faculties. Everything is amazing, and definitely under the leadership and the team of all of yours is making a tremendous progress. And the best part is that India is also on the cusp of change, where such colleges are needed to make the contribution. And without that, the growth and the potential of the economy, or even the 5 trillion target or various other ambition as the developed economy, cannot be realized. So the contribution of the colleges are indispensable in such scenario. So coming back to the topic, and this is one of the sought after question in the mind of students and everyone. There will be definitely a few moments where I will have intended tangency, because there are various other important aspects that I always share with the students. However, I'll try to remain on the topic that what the employers in the financial services are expecting from the students. Quite intuitively, the preference of the financial services employers and the expectations are almost similar to any other industry when it comes to the college graduates, when it comes to the freshers. The key reason I would like to highlight is because even though we are in the front end of the banking financial services industry, we do not expect from the freshers and the college graduates anything very technical or a high level of expertise. The expectation is quite moderate. Let's start from there. And that should be a good news for the students, those who are thinking that, okay, when they go to such organizations for the interview and they get the shock of their life thinking that what would be asked. So there shouldn't be anything. They just need to be routed to their basic. They need to be strong in what they're going to talk about themselves, their resume, and they need to just be patient, show the enthusiasm. These are some of the aspects that is expected, nothing else. Based on hundreds of interviews from even for the freshers, what I have seen is that 80% of the freshers are not even fully aware of their resume. That's one of the surprising element. It will be hard to believe, but when you go through the CV and you ask that, okay, so back in 7 years ago, you participated in this college project. How did you find it out? What was the key learning? And when you see the silence, when you see, that they are not fully aware, they have not thought through, that's where, it makes the employer a little bit, worried, because we are not expecting the capital market product. We are not asking for the valuation of the complex swaps. We are not asking that how are you going to present the balance sheet in 5 different accounting standards, right? You are lucky to have been exempted from so many different questions. What we are asking is very basic. And that's why I promised at the start, these interviews and expectations are not something to worry about, so long as you have the controls on the basic. So I have a couple of points to discuss here, and maybe I can drop one single page of PPTs sometime later on, or maybe I can try to just share here. Sorry, one second. All right, can you all see a single page PPT?
Yes, Nitish, it's visible.
Okay. Great. So the point I'm trying to make is that when it comes to the expectation from employer, there are twofold expectation here. One, during the interview, and second, post-interview on the job. And they are kind of having a high overlap as well. What we expect during the interview is a similar expectation even after the interview when somebody starts the work. And that should be really falling under 5 dimensions. So as I said, technicality and expertise is not the first expectation. What we expect is interpersonal skill set and what it constitutes. Your ability to connect with people. Even when you go to meet your first team leader for the interview, and then next round is probably the manager, senior manager, and then it goes to the HR or another person for the final round. We try to assess that as a fresher, are you somebody who can gel well with the team? Are you somebody who is amenable? If I put you in the team of 5 people who all have kind of expertise and might have their own confidence, are you able to get the work done? Are you the one who can learn? Are you the one who can compromise on your ego and make 2-3 requests to learn something if your colleagues are very, very busy? Would you mind asking 3 times if somebody is not able to answer for whatever reasons? Or would your ego come in the picture? Would you carry your certificate on your shoulder when it comes to work in the team? If one of your colleagues is less qualified educationally but much more experienced, would you be able to work together? These are some of the questions that we'll try to find out through the scenario-based questions and various ways. Then interpersonal skill is your body language, your communication skill. One of the top executive coach come billionaire, the investor, Warren Buffett, says that if one skill that he has to, actually two skills he has to hire people on, it will be as follows: communication and ethics. And it is getting more and more prominence. So basically what he means is that if somebody does not know, even if he has to give the recruit him or her in the investment team, and the person does not know much about the finance and investment, he can compromise on those things. So long as person can communicate what they want to say, can get a point across, and have also a emotional control on the communication as well. That is important. And I'll give you one example. Just recently, there were two colleagues of mine, and one was wondering that why it happens that when he or she suggests the same project, it gets less attention, whereas the other person, even providing less detail and the granularity of the project, always wins the attention and his success rate is much higher. So seemingly the person is doing a lot of hard work, research, analytics, but when it comes to communicating this and getting the point across, convincing the leaders of the organization outside and inside the company, he or she seems to fail. What is the reason? It is the communication. And that has a compounding impact. Once you convince somebody and get the right project, then your expertise and influence grows, and then it continues to grow. So two people starting at the same point with the same skill set can make a massive difference in 5 years if your communication is of high quality. So that is one thing that can be assessed during the interview as well as after. And this is something financial sector and any other sector will expect from the freshers and the college graduates. Next is emotional intelligence. There could be some deliberate question, or could be some just out of accident, that interviewer will ask you one or two questions which you are not comfortable with, or you might not be confident, or you have tried to answer, but there could be some follow-up questions. Some candidates start to show disappointment or regret, and these things can be sussed out. And how to control this? Then we can use some of the pointers at the right hand here. In order to overcome such emotional reflex, because you can't just control it with effort during the interview, it has to be natural. So you need to practice these things even when you are in the college. When you are practicing going for the interview few months in advance, you need to start practicing in the debate discussions. Try to organize mock interviews, practice sessions with your colleagues, your professor, your lecturer, whosoever you find, family members, friends, because practice is what is going to come naturally during the interview and afterwards. Next one that employers expect, again, it's not about technicality, but your ability to organize things. So organizational skill set. If somebody gives you the PPT and Excel, and you want someone to prepare you the PPT based on the Excel data, do you just copy paste, or you just see whether it is coming out clearly or not? Do you make the table? Do you bother to make it more presentable? Or if you're saying that the value of certain things has gone up by 50%, do you have the backup? So these are somewhat, if you think it's a commonsensical approach, you don't really need to get a massive qualification to have your backup, your data. Even if you say something today, even if say, though it's not to encourage political discussion, but say, even if you say something, that you like this government, somebody will ask you that why did you think so, right? That's the first question comes. Same thing is applicable at workplace as well. If you think that the value of something has gone up by 50%, or there are a reduction of the 20% in the staff capacity for this project, you need to have the data, facts and figures ready, and that should be from the reliable source. Employers think that these are the basic skill now. Then next is computing skill. Even despite completing so many different theses and the various qualifications, we find people who are not at hands with computing skills. Microsoft, organizing the emails, categorizing that, putting the flags and various other tools, PowerPoint, Excel, various formulas, even some pivoting and all, those things are missing often. And it has nothing to do with the qualification. Almost every single person need to know this. This is kind of a hygiene factor for the organizations nowadays. Then analytical skill. Can you see the pattern? Can you find out something out of the way? Can you notice something, spot something? And many times it happens that people might have multiple chartered or even the doctorate and even the MBAs 2, 3, 4, 5 all, but sometimes you just miss the analytical skill. And nothing can be more disappointing to an employer that you think interview was good, everything qualification is good, all the boxes were ticked off, but when it comes to the basis analytical capacity, if the person is missing, that is a matter of disappointment. So, and especially in the financial services, it is much bigger virtue than qualifications. And this is the reason why every passing day we are hearing the news, be it from IT giants or banking giants, that, okay, we are going to discard the importance of degree and qualification on its own. We are going to go after the skill set. Of course, I'm not saying that we can impart the skill without the degree and qualifications. Both are two sides of the same coin. But on the same time, the value of the skill should be much, much larger, and it cannot be driven by the organization or the college and school. It is a mission everyone has to adopt. Students, parents, school, college, organization, managers, colleagues, everyone has to really focus on skill building. And as the student, as the fresher who is going for the interview or work in the organization, you need to focus on learning skill set, not the qualification. You should be in a situation that when you get the qualification, you never mention on the CV, or still you pass through the interview. Because getting through the interview can become easy through some other tools like networking. There are various ways you can still go through the interview. But when people think that, okay, I have the qualification, that's it, and the qualification will help them get permanent in the position or promotion, etc. Sadly, the situation is completely opposite. Hardly nowadays people give any credibility. Once you are recruited, done. Your certificate can push you only up to the door of the interview. Once you enter the door of the interview and sit on the chair for the interview, your qualification do not matter. Again, your interpersonal skill, your enthusiasm, the kind of radiating intensity of your learning ability, your communication, your enthusiasm, your energy is what convinces the interviewer. There is energy and aura that really makes a difference. And that's why many times, first 10 to 15 seconds, people decide whether I'm going to hire this person or not. You might have heard it dozens of times, but have you realized that what makes it, how somebody can be so biased that in first 10 seconds, I can decide that I'm going to get this person, recruit this person or not? Do you think really it's on the basis of CV or some technical question answer? No, it is the aura, the enthusiasm, your handshake, your body language, your confidence, your eyes, your body movement, everything just makes a kind of gives a signal, and our mind is also kind of twinned in millions of years of evolution that we can judge the person instantly, based on certain feature. And we can think that, okay, this person is really good at hire. And then it doesn't matter, whether you answer the question, debit and credit, etc., good or bad, it doesn't matter. Because there is something called confirmation bias. When you like the person, you will think this person just answered the question wrongly. Maybe I did not ask it correctly. I might even be persuaded to think that. If I have decided decide to hire somebody, I'll just convince myself that this person could not answer the question because I might not have explained it properly. That's the power of personality and your soft skills. And it is not that it has to happen only after 20 years of work experience. You can develop it from the very start, because you're always on a relative performance. I'm not going to judge one fresher against 25 years of experience, one fresher against another fresher. If you're just few steps ahead in that competition, you won the game. Any questions so far?
Nitish, I myself have one, please. So you've given us only 15 seconds to make the first impression.
Yeah.
Is there any specific pointer that you think that students must ensure while they are going for their interview to make that first impact?
Yes, there are various ways. First, your straight body movement. So this is more on the body language, which is important, right? A slouched shoulder just gives that you are lacking energy and the motivation. Your eye contacts. handshake, how firm and how confident it is, your facial expression, right? And believe it or not, like the facial expression have thousands of signal which you can't write down, but only your brain understand. Again, it's millions of years of evolution that one human recognize another person and can make so many judgmental decisions. So facial expression should be confident, smile, and no hesitation, no nervousness should be on the face. Now, how it is done? Again, matter of practice. It is easier said than done, but that done part comes when you put the practice into this. Students can do it very well. Whenever you're going on the Friday party or Saturday, Sunday afternoon, why? Before you start watching the movie, why don't you organize a 2-hour-long interview session, 15 minutes each? So 8 of your friends can, present each other as an interviewer and candidate. Why don't you play that game? 2-3 weekends and you are master of this. And that 10-15 second, that creates a confirmation bias. And human mind is so much biased, right? You can see last 15 years of the Nobel Prize in economics, all are given on the behavioral finance, not on the econometric analysis. Because behavior, people have realized, is winning the game. All the data and everything is beside the point when it comes to the behavior and the bias. Halo effect is another effect that creates a bias in favor of one person against another person. People try to always find that they have made the right decision and they try to confirm. Once you convince the person that you're the right person, then interviewer will try to convince himself or herself that you're the right candidate. You just have to convince in the first 10-15 seconds. So these are some of the game, how to convince the employer, how to put the right image, the project, right personality, and make the right impression in first few seconds. Just like it is said for resume, 30 seconds and the decision is made. How that is done, that's another big chapter to discuss. So yeah, we can't go all through that, but yeah, when it comes to resume, the same presentation, the keywords, the schemability and tabularity, all this makes a massive difference in the selection. So done with the analytical skill, commitment to learn and disciplined. So that is all about the personality again. And again, I will quote many recruiters and executive coach, right? That your skill set, okay, and to underline this, your skill set is the floor, because that decides the bare minimum point, the bare minimum qualification that you need to have to enter the interview room. So your qualification, your skill set is your floor, but your character, ethics, and your your willingness is the ceiling. That decides how high you can go. If that makes a difference after the interview, then it makes a difference during the interview as well. Because if you have missed 3-4 right answer in the interview out of 10, maybe 5 or 6 you gave the right answer. But if you're projecting that you are the one who can learn very fast, or you can even skip a couple of evenings, party, or the movie plan, etc., to learn a project or learn a software or something, if you can convince just this one thing, your 50% chance of recruitment is going to go up. Because that's what employers are kind of asking you to say yes. Often that happens. We ask the question, they say, so tell me, Mr. Pankaj or Ms. Shweta, that what happens if one evening you get a project whereby you don't know anything and you have to deliver that, complete the work in a week time, what would you do? In that situation, we want the person to say, hey, I can do that. I can just learn next 3 days and next 3-4 days I can complete it. Just don't worry about this. Give it to me and I can complete. That's what we want to know. And that's what kind of people we are looking for. But if the person say, yeah, I have to think whether I can do it or not, that tentativeness makes me tentative whether it is the right candidate or not. Because you are at the stage when you don't know the skill set, expertise, the functional domain knowledge. But when you're already kind of missing your steam, then the steam engine will not move. The train will not leave the platform if you are missing the steam. And that's the steam that should come out during the interview. Your ability and commitment to learn. And again, the disciplines is another thing. And that is more important after the selection when you start the job. Often, suppose that there's a call 8 o'clock in the morning with one of the prospect, the prospect could, especially in the financial services, could be some multi-billion dollar worth of client, the CFO, CEOs, and somehow you just drop the message half an hour earlier that you are not coming to the meeting. You might have some PPT or Excel saved in your folder which you cannot find or somebody else cannot find. Nothing can be more disastrous to business, organization, and manager if the discipline is missing. Again, discipline has nothing to do with your qualification. These things come for free, and everyone is almost on the same page. Whether somebody is a PhD from Harvard or a 10th school pass from any small village school, discipline is one thing. Everyone has to compete on the same page, and that's why in modern world it is so easy even to succeed. If you have some 8 to 10 different basic things in order, success is easy. Otherwise, the degree, qualification, expertise even do not matter much, because that is, remember, is a floor. The ceiling is the character, commitment, discipline, etc. That's where that's what decides how high you can go. Again, Jeff Bezos had also said in one of the interview that we need to hire character and train for the skill. And here the character and the skill, personality means like your ability, your learnability, your commitment, your persona, so people want to hire a good personality, a good person who can drive the organizational value. Skill set is cheap. You can train for 2-3 months. Every organization has the capacity. They have training plan, videos, standard operating documents, manual, cheat sheet, everything is there, free of cost. It is easy to get trained. But no organization, no manager can change the personality in 2-3 months, right? And that's the reason that we go after the personality in the person. We try to buy into the personality, not the skill set. And again, that is common across all sort of organizations, not only financial or banking. Almost every organization needs that kind of person. Flexibility and can-do attitude. How flexible the person is, especially in the banking sector and the financial sectors are extremely competitive. Investment market, investment business is even much more competitive. We have seen so many times that some firms in US, people were working for a couple of days non-stop. You would have seen in various Wall Street, Wolf and such movies, that once something start to break down or go wrong way, people just stay for 2-3 days in the office and just sort out something before leaving for home. It's a very competitive market. So if somebody is 9 to 5 person, not fit for the business, right? It requires a lot of sweat and blood and commitment, heart, soul, everything, right? So that means the flexibility. Often we get the email 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening that client found out something, it was one of the product or the future of forward was not valued, and they even did not give the right information, but they need to release the investor statement by 7 o'clock. Can you please do the changes? Now, that change will require 5 hours, but you have just 2 hours to make the changes and return to the client. And you can't even say no. You can maximum bargain that, oh, can you give me 2 hours more, because the system will not respond that fast. You can make the entry, you can decide, you can apply 5 people on the project, all hand on the deck, sorry. But you can't really, say no. Maximum you can bargain for a couple of more hours. But if someone in your team just say, especially at the start of the career, we need more flexibility. Say, no, actually I'm leaving because, I have booked the ticket already, 6:30, and it's a fantastic blockbuster movie. That, of course, we can't say no. We need to respect everyone's democratic right, but is this the right person? That will that person get the right growth, responsibility, the project? And of course, sometimes you have to give more before you take. You have to put more efforts and hard work and intensity, before you start to expect the commitment and encouragement from the management often. I'm not talking about whether it is 100% fair or not, but often that's how the life works. One thing that we need to understand from the college itself, because we learned that later on, 20 years later, that life is not fair. Anyway, we learned that quite late, but we need to know at the very start. We need to put 200 hours extra within first 3 months before we make our mark. And everyone will start talking about you that, oh, this person is a new, but fantastic. And then you start getting new projects. And once you get new project, new skill, more visibility, then you're starting to win the game. It's a compounding effect. It's the dominoes effect. It's a snowballing effect. One small thing start to get larger, but to make that small ball roll, you need to put a lot of effort. So that's what is expected from the college graduates. Apply your skill and knowledge. So some people are very good in skill and knowledge, but often seem not to apply those properly. So that's another limitation and bottleneck. Employers will be frustrated, training again and again, but not getting the application is another challenge. Many people love to learn, but they miss to apply. So that's another skill which requires to be developed gradually. So this is overall what is expected from the students, graduates out of the college. But when you go for the interview, couple of things when you pass the interview door, also to ensure that we get the desk, there are a couple of other things that can be done. Know your resume thoroughly. These are some 7-8 massive sin or the crime that we have seen. That resume is provided, but student themselves, candidate themselves do not know thoroughly their resume. You can ask 2-3 questions and you'll see that completely bumps out. No clue. So a couple of my favorite question. What was your subject in MBA or BCom? Okay. So out of 7 subjects, person was able to tell 4, 5. Okay, fine. Which one did you like the most? I like capital market the most. Okay, fantastic. So can you please explain the difference between future and forward? Answer was 40% right. Okay. Then do you know why future is more liquid? No, I don't. So this is a typical problem. I'm not asking a question which I liked. I gave you the freedom to choose your subject, your question, and still you're not even basic completed. So that gives an indication that your intensity and the commitment in any subject is very shallow. So even if I give you a very ambitious project which can impact the entire market, and I give you 20 people to support, would I get a return? Very unlikely, because your intensity is shown from such kind of behavior, right? Because if somebody asks you one topic or one subject, at least have thorough control in 1 or 2 topic or subjects, so that if you tell that, at least you have right to say that, okay, it's not your forte, you don't remember much about this, but sometimes we ask the question so that you don't have that excuse, right? So thoroughly know your subject, your basics, your core specialization, especially if somebody comes from marketing background and say that, okay, I have got distinction marks in the marketing and it was my favorite subject, especially when you say it is my favorite subject. So normally people are supposed to go above and beyond the syllabus when it is favorite, right? But not able to explain the definition, that speaks volume. Then no matter how much accurately you give the answer for everything else, that just creates the doubt that this will not be a long-lasting candidate in the organization. Then research about 3C, about before the interviews. Company, what kind of company is, where is the business, what they are doing, what is their the overall breadth and the length of services, the basics. Culture, how they work, what is their key priorities, how they behave. Some people are very formal, some are very informal, some want very specific questions, some are very open. Some of the interview will be just sitting with you and will bring coffee as well on the table, and will just sit down in a relaxed way and say, okay, so what was the best movie you have seen? That could be some interviewers question. Some could be very specific and you'll sound very rude as well. If you introduce your name, then they'll say, oh, I know your name, tell me more. So knowing the culture, the personality, what kind of team is there, what is the business, what the people are like, that can give you loads of headway. Because if your 1 or 2 questions, face this kind of behavior, you also start becoming nervous and, develop the toxins in the mind that, okay, this person does not sound good. But if you're already prepared for such responses, it will be much easier to handle the interview. Then competency. What kind of competency the company is looking for? Some teams and even companies are well known for maintaining the bureaucracy and the structure. Some are very command-driven, top-down approach. Some are not. Some are very flat. They don't like hearing that, oh, I can tell my team. They will say, no, this is not the right way to, work in the team. Don't tell your team, even if they are junior. But some will love to listen this kind of language. Some company will be more driven by the competency of some specific types. Say, some love automation and business process reengineering. So this kind of research will be helpful. Show enthusiasm, we have talked about this. Willingness to learn, etc. Practice interview scenario, we have talked about this. That is very, very important though. Talk about the key events of your life, lessons through STAR model. So reflection is very important. Reflection, introspection, these things are again very important, especially suppose that you are waiting for your internet to start or waiting for the flight. Probably these are the best time. Take your pen and paper and start thinking that how your last 5 years has gone, last 10 years. What decision you should have made which could have changed the entire direction of your career. Yeah, it sounds like very philosophical at this moment, but I can assure you there will be a couple of questions in your next interview, especially in the last round. The last round is not trying to know your competency, skill set, and the details. They just want to judge you and understand you, whether you will be culturally fit or not. And to know this, there is no direct question. They will try to make a circumlocution and find out 5 other scenario, and then they will try to assess whether you are the right fit into the team or not. So how it will be done? All right, so tell me, what did you do? What could have changed, or what you would like to change if it was 2010? How will you change your decisions if you are given 10 more years? What was your biggest mistake that you would like to avoid now? If you were to go back in the history, what would you change about your decision and steps? What was your most beneficial step that you have taken? What was your most successful step? What brought you the most success? What caused you the biggest failure? What did you learn about those failure? What one meeting you would like to avoid, and what has happened in that? What was the most complex project that you handled? What was the one of the project that you really think was failed because of you? What did you learn about this? And all these questions are very difficult to make up if you're not ready. Saying that which one was your biggest failure in your life and why it happened, what did you learn about this? These things are the question which requires introspection and reflection in your when you're in the peaceful mind. Think about this, note down your responses, because this will be asked at a certain point of time. Reflect on your working style, strengths, weaknesses. What drives you? What motivates you? What is your weakness, and how do you overcome that? Make the weaknesses such that it sounds like it's still a positive aspect, that you are too much detail oriented, you are perfectionist, or you are sensitive, or you can't draw the line between work and life, something like this, which is in a way positive, and yet you can categorize under the weakness, right? So all such scenarios require a lot of preparation and thought process. If you leave this question to be asked during the interview and think that time, it can be a disaster. You might say something which will completely screw your potential in the interview. And at that point of time, you might not even realize what did you say, because it is asked, it is already a difficult question. Your mind is on adrenaline rush. It is in the fight or flight mode. The fight and flight mode, when all the adrenaline will just switch off your amygdala, which makes the conscious decision. It switches off. Your body just start to pump more blood into the brain and heart. It is not making the conscious decision or the rational decision. It will just try to avoid the situation, will give any answer. That can be very expensive. So think through those scenarios. There are plenty of questions on the internet on that scenario, what kind of answer you should be giving, how to prepare for that, and have at least 25 scenarios and their answers ready. It's a scenario-based question. When you need to answer this question, use STAR model. It is situation, task, action, and result. You can Google to know more how to respond using STAR model for the scenario-based questions. But this is a very systematic and organized way which the interviewers or anyone in the organization would like to see you following, because it also tells about your communication skill. How do you attack the problem? So it is a very impressive model to use for scenario-based interview questions. And these questions are done at the last round in the most senior level interview. So if you can convince there, you're done. So reflect on your working style, everything is done. Now, any weakness in resume, be ready to explain about that and convince in a way that, it becomes positive aspect. If you had a gap for 1 or 2 years, maybe you took the break to take family, take care of a family, or maybe the family business, or you pursued some other adventure. You started your own business or journey. You wanted to explore something else. Maybe you fought the election. That's okay, but you need to just explain that in a positive manner. And again, showcase what did you learn. Always try to showcase what did you learn, and show that whatever you have been doing, even if you have a biscuit, you should show that, okay, you learned something which will be useful in the life. Always show that everything is a learning which is going to be useful in future. So these are some of the techniques for interview, top 7-8 way you can convince better. So we have a couple of questions. Okay, following FIFO method, first in, first out. What are some of the must-have technical skills one must have while applying for positions in finance? Okay, when we say finance, it covers accounting, finance, almost some of the economic modules, investment banking, all the tax-related event. So it's a massive world. So look into the core competency required for that job. Look at the JD, job description. Ask from the recruitment consultant, or basically to know that. If they don't provide, or you really need to remind too many times, Google yourself. Google for that. Okay, what the equity researchers needs to do, because there are many JD even in the Google. Try to know what is the expectation. So, and there will be 2-3 type of expectation. One, core skill, functional skill. Second category will be like overall soft skill. They try to showcase that a person should be willing to work in shift, flexible, good communication, able to prepare the slide. Those kind of things. And the first category, the technical skill, they will say, okay, the person should be able to apply discounted cash flow method or dividend discounting method, or all these kind of things. So that will be highlighted. So look for the JD, ask for the JD, or if you still don't get, ask from some of the colleagues or somebody who is in that profession. Try to find out the core competency, and then work that point onward. Try to find out how will you prove that you know all these typical points. Do some Google and learn about that, right? And still, if you are stuck, tell the employer that you can learn it. You can spend your evening, you can spend your weekend to upgrade yourself, because remember, it's not only about that job, it will be a learning for your entire life. So even if you have to put extra mile, it is going to be beneficial. It is going to be your asset for the entire life. Okay, so these are so technical skill you need to find out based on the roles, because there are thousands of different type of opportunities within finance.
Nidesh, can we just stop sharing the screen?
Yeah. All right. What should the resume of a fresher contains so that he has high chance to learn on data science? Okay. So it again depends on the data science position, but typically you are supposed to have very good analytical and mathematical skill set, right? Differential, statistical, all those skill set, calculus, etc. Probability, good into probability and analysis of that. Some of the algebra are also part of those. Plus your computing skills should be also good. So data science is about three things: understanding of the business, a good control on the mathematics, and third, knowing the programming languages such as Python, R, right? So some of the computer programming, Python, Anaconda, unfortunately, they are all snakes, but Python, Anaconda these are some of the popular data science or machine learning softwares and computing skill. The good side is that though they are snakes, but it is still easy to learn. They are like a 5th generation softwares. So there are libraries, there are some very easy steps to learn this coding, unlike Java, etc., that used to be quite complex earlier. So you need to update yourself. The used cases for data science, how data science and machine learning is applied in the past in many organizations, you can Google and find out the used cases. So examples, right? Then mathematics, calculus, algebra, probability, statistics. These are 3-4 top mathematical skill set which is used for data science, because it is all about the pattern analysis and finding out the information based on data. And third is programming languages like Python, etc. There are like Andrew Ng. You can write down the name of a guy. He provides Andrew Ng on YouTube and many other places like Coursera, etc. He provides 10, 13, 15 hours long videos for free on YouTube. And he is right now probably #1 trainer in the world in the area of data science and machine learning, etc., and artificial intelligence. So follow him, take his classes on YouTube. There are some free resources that he provides. Okay. What is the next question? Okay, so this question is on the internship, that it is not easy to find internship in the financial sector. Clearing the interview will be the next step, but first need to find the internship positions, I believe, because once you find the position, then interview comes the next. Okay, so currently I do agree. Last 6 months, thanks to Corona, the internship and the business expansion has been very lethargic. There are not many positions, but in general, there are good few positions constantly for internship. Even there are contracting positions that you can go for as a contractor for 3 months, 6 months, etc. Short-term positions. They will start propping up again, hopefully from March onward next year, once business start to catch up. And once it start to catch up, it will be very fast and furious, because everything has been stagnant for a while. Once it will lose break, it will be fast. So watch out for that. You need to also make a list of 25, at least make a commitment that make a list of 25 website for the jobs. Okay, spend at least 30 hours a week. Organize yourself in sending the resume. Connect to people on network on the LinkedIn, right? In the same sector, same industry. Try to make a commitment that okay, next 3 months you will connect to at least 10,000 people on LinkedIn in your industry. This is how you will start to get the information about internship or contracting, the positions. Otherwise, you always think that okay, there are not positions, but there are. If I just say that investment banking position in India, it has more than 150,000 positions, right? And if you apply a simple attrition rate of 15%, so how much is this? Almost 22,500 positions, right, coming out in the market from the hardcore investment banking domain. So there are positions. You just need to connect on the right platform, connect to LinkedIn, various networking site, make your LinkedIn network group big, update your resume on 25 job site at least. There are very, very prominent websites in the financial services. Make a list and apply to them. Make that commitment that within 2 weeks, you will be on all the 25 job and Naukri websites, Naukri.com, Monster.com, IamJobs.com, all of this. These are the way to get to the right place. India is a massive economy, and there are still jobs being created. So it's just that you need to align to the right group and right place. Company in finance sector, avoid from recruiting fresher. So this question is quite interesting, and many people might be thinking, but it's the meat. Thanks for raising this. I'm not saying it should not be. It's a good question. Many people think that, okay, employers are looking for the experienced people or 10 years of experience. I do see where it is coming from. Yes, there are some recruiters incorrectly actually ask the fresher to have 5 years of experience, right? That is incorrect approach, I accept, but there will be some 20-30% such JD or recruiters like that, but let's not focus on them. There are still 70% who are reasonable and rational. Okay, so that's 70%. Now the good news is that those 70% are getting bigger and bigger, because the economy is becoming so much agile and ever changing that people are not looking for as many long-term contractor or permanent employees. Actually, we are going into a very geek economy whereby you can outsource people who can work from home, contractor, part-timers. There are so many different kind of positions are nowadays coming up. I didn't see that 10 or 20 years ago, when any large organizations like large investment banks hiring people on contract, and the jobs are really, really high skilled jobs, but they are hired on contract. It did not happen earlier. So these things are now happening. Freshers, I think now organizations are much more open and willing to recruit the fresher as compared to earlier. And here is the reason, and here's the rationale behind this. Since the job market is changing every 2-3 years, if today I have 15-16 years of experience, it might not be as good anymore to any of my employer in the industry, because things are changing so fast, right? In our last 3 years, everything has almost changed, and next 5 years things will be drastically changed. None of us even realizing right now. If we are saying that 25% of the world GDP will be coming from the artificial intelligence, yes, 25%. If there is a $80 trillion worth of world economy right now, so we are saying that $20 trillion will be somewhere linked to artificial intelligence, and that to the report of World Economic Forum. That means next 5 years, I don't know what kind of job will be there and will not be. But one thing is for sure, those who are upgrading themselves will find golden opportunities. If somebody is willing to learn and upgrade and is open for upgrading themselves, there'll be fantastic opportunities coming up in next 4-5 years. So the answer is, if I have 20 years of experience, I may not be at any advantage over to you. And when I say you, one of the graduates from the college, you might be more at an advantageous position as compared to me, because your knowledge could be even still relevant. You might not be having a baggage of my 20 years of work experience. You might be still willing and open to learn. So for many employers, you might be much more suitable as compared to somebody with 15 years of experience. Because old knowledge, traditional experience might not be holding as much worth as it used to 20 years ago. So things are changing in the favor of the freshers. So yeah, CFA and all these qualifications and even the BCom or MBA finance or any such qualifications, so long as you have control on your subject, you can justify 1 or 2 papers at least that you are good at, that's good enough. Because anyway, people have to learn nowadays on the job and then perform the job. So you're not at a disadvantage right now. So personality of the fresher is the most important component. All right, so the question is, many toppers are seen quite rigid in their approach. They are not flexible. They don't have a good interpersonal skill set. Very good. So basically what happens, time penalizes everything. So what happens is that the topper, and say, let's take an example, you got 65% in BCom and another person is 80%. 80% is very rigid. They don't even want to work with you. They think that, oh, you got 15% less, it's not good enough. But if you are open to take up new projects, get along with people better, and people think that you are a good person to work with, they can give you a call and discuss projects with you. In 1 or 2 years, you will know more people, you will have better connection with people, and remember, network and connection is very valuable in today's economy, within the company, outside the company. People are more willing to work with you, call you, discuss the projects with you. So gradually you'll have better network, and one day your manager is going to give you the project that the other topper cannot dream of, because ultimately everyone wants the work done. They don't want to consider their mark sheet forever. So it takes 1 to 2 years for you to surpass with your good interpersonal skill any topper, right? Provided that topper does not have that flexibility. So the rigidity is a very expensive thing to carry on the shoulder in any organization. So interpersonal skill will supersede everything in medium term. May not be in first 6 months or 1 year, but in the medium term, that supersedes everything. So to land any job in investment banks like JP Morgan or our competitors, the first thing is, again, connect on the recruiters of that company on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has not only become the networking site, but also a job hunting, head hunting site now, right? Almost without fail, every single recruiter, be it consultant or the HR of any company, are on LinkedIn. Target them, connect to them. Like, share their posting. Try to also showcase your skill set. If you know the future of forward some very, very well, or if you really want to critique the RBI policy with good logic, or you want to support that, put that on the LinkedIn. It should be respectful. It should be logical. Otherwise it will backfire. And make yourself heard and make yourself visible. They will start to look at you, and one day they will connect and say that, hey, you want to work now. Third thing is, LinkedIn also advertises the job. So you can go, you can get about the job posting from LinkedIn. Thirdly, as I said, the job portals are a very good place to apply. And fifth, the 53% of the jobs, or the 53% of the hiring from the internet is done through the company's own websites. That's the statistics. So don't forget to apply on the job portal of the respective company, on their career page. Provide the resume, cover letter, and everything, and try to update the resume in a way it is suitable for their business, right? So equity research company will be different from the investment other trading company, or the BPO versus KPO in the financial sector. So try to take care of those aspects. And these are some of the way to land a job, even being a fresher. So all the career website of the respective page, connect on the LinkedIn. Also connect to your seniors, college seniors, peer colleagues, those who have already faced the jobs in banks and financial services. Try to connect with them and ask for the internal referrals, right? Network is your net worth. 85% of the jobs are, as per Brian Tracy, he conducted a research, 85% of the jobs are filled through the internal reference. The reason is people trust internal employee, and if somebody refer you who are already working in the bank or any financial services, then you're having 85% chance of getting interview call. So these are some top-notch strategy to land the interview. What domain a CFA fresher should look jobs in to be portfolio manager in future? Okay, so portfolio managers typically are traders. They decide about the portfolio, right? Which sector to invest, how much to invest, and what should be the diversification, standard deviation, and all those kind of jargons. So first they start their career as a trader, trading in equity, derivatives, bonds, fixed income products. They gain the experience for 5 years or 10 years like that. Then they make their way up as a managers and portfolio managers. So that's the typical career path. But for that, you need to have very strong, not only economics and CFA skill, but quite predominantly, you'll be bored to hear, interpersonal skill are even much more important in such finance role, at senior level finance role, because you're dealing with senior people, CFOs, CEOs, boards, investors, right? Your communication skill should be above, the best orator in the country. That kind of precise and bulleted communication you need to have. then your mathematical skill set and computing should be extraordinary, because nowadays data is not analyzed manually on the Excel sheet. These are all done through the advanced artificial intelligence enabled tools. The hedge fund trading softwares, they are using even the software which can analyze the newspaper in the market, 100 newspaper within 5 minutes, and it can decide where the market going on, and it will even put the order, buy or sell, whatever order it needs to put. Before you download the paper from the Google, the hedge fund softwares have already put the order and it has been executed. So one cannot even compete. It will even analyze the newspapers and can make the bottom line and will decide that, okay, I think the airlines industry is going to crash within a month. So it will just start to sell all the positions. Before we even understand what is going on, it's done by the softwares. And there are various hundreds of such functions these tools have. So advanced machine learning, data science skill, mathematical skill, and economic skill, together with the CFNL, and then excellent communication and presentation skills are the core for becoming portfolio managers. Did I miss any question?
Srishti, did you want to ask a question? I thought you were raising your hand. Srishti, Dr. Srishti rather.
Hello.
Okay, I don't know if she's being able to unmute herself. Sir, I do have a question. While you were talking of the interview going on, when we were talking of the first impressions we are going to make, do you think it's a good idea if a student is asked a question on a particular subject, does not know the answer? Is it that the student should in any way try to twist and be able to take it somewhere where he thinks he'll be able to answer the question, and or are the interviewers not in that favor at all?
Back in 2004, Sundar Pichai was asked, and it was 1st April 2004, do you know about Gmail? He said, no, actually, I just couldn't get a chance, but I would love if someone can just walk me through. So don't say yes if you don't know the answer, but ensure that, again, that infection of commitment to learn should be there. Try to say that, oh, I want to learn, and first thing that I want to know about this product is, after this interview, is that how it works and what it is all about. I heard about this, but I couldn't get a chance to know more. So don't try to answer if you don't know. Of course, one thing that you can do is make a disclaimer that, okay, I'll try to answer based on certain assumptions. I'll try to apply some logic, because that could be a test as well. In some of the interviews, such as, say, if you're going for portfolio management or any data science related jobs, they can ask you that, okay, do you see this room? Yeah. How many ball or the square of maybe 3 centimeter or 4 centimeter can be fit into this room? Now, no one knows the answer, but don't try to skip this kind of questions. It is trying to assess your ability to find out the answer. You will never have sufficient answer. The amount of information is too much, but your ability to find out the right approach to figure out something instantly is a massive skill. And often employer try to put you in that situation and will ask you to estimate or guesstimate. Now, they will also ask you to explain the approach. How did you quantify this? If you just say that, okay, it will be 3.5 million such balls or square, they are not interested in that number. How did you arrive at that answer? What was your assumption, models, mathematics? How did you apply discount or premium and all those things? You need to explain the approach. So this one question can decide from being from the clerk to the CEO level. This question can be asked to anybody in the world, and it can assess the skill set of people at any level. And the CEOs and the chairman of the banks can be assessed with this question. So be good in those questions and don't pass on those questions. Of course, if something is factually and you don't know the answer, just tell don't know the answer. But I like to know such things, and I'll figure out after the interview, or if you can tell me, I'll be thankful.
Thank you so much. I think there are more students with questions. Let me give them a chance.
So there's one question from Kancha. CEO then financial experts who have a high salary, they are taxed by there's a question on the salary and the taxation of the salary of the CEOs and financial experts with high salary. So though it's not quite related to this discussion, but let me answer this one anyway. If they are taxed high by the government, then will the companies be willing to increase the salary or incentive so that they don't have to bear the cost of losing the highly skilled CEO? It is a kind of a very, like the question is not controversial, but the matter is very controversial. And it is something in the debate for last 50 years, right? The average CEO salary currently stood at around 300 or 350 times the average salary of the bottom line worker, right? And this anomaly, this gap has not narrowed. It has just gone bigger and bigger and bigger as we have made the progress in capitalism. This is the nature of the capitalism anyway. Now, if government try to impose more tax on them, basically there are two reactions expected by the company. A, the company will try to give them the perk which cannot be directly taxed, right? So giving the jet, the standard of living basically can be given which cannot be directly taxed. And B, of course, company will be forced to give the higher salary or will give some more shares, which can again avail some sort of tax incentive, right? So there are various ways the salary can be structured so that the tax is not as high for those CEOs, because ultimately, yes, for the high performer CEOs, company would do everything to retain, because of that couple of hundreds millions of the salary, they cannot let go a CEO who is bringing the revenues in the tune of the billions. So they will do everything possible. They can restructure the package. They can give the salary perks which is not directly taxable, etc., etc. There are different ways. When Jack Welch was retiring, he was given a standard of living. So he was given the flight, charter flight, and all the facility that he used to enjoy as the CEO directly at his home. You know, as a salary and the retirement, there was not much, but he was given assurance to maintain his living standard, including the charter plane and the pilots and everything. This kind of things can be done. They are the bunch of the smartest people in the area of taxation and finance. They can do this. Good afternoon. Ask what matters more, theoretical knowledge or practical knowledge one is having. There is no divorce between theoretical and practical knowledge. That is another myth, right? How can we distinguish between the theoretical and practical if I have to value a company based on the dividends, right? Because there is no comparable price in the market for that company, and I have to just value that on the basis of the dividend it has been paying to the shareholders. So the theory and the practical is the same. It's just that in practical world, there are factors which are, you know, just too many. Not all the theories are relevant in the books, but without theory, practical cannot work. There's no clear line of demarcation, especially when it comes to the finance or tax. When we are talking about valuation, when we are talking about data science, what is theory and what is practical? It's hard to distinguish.
I think we've overshot our time already, Nitish, and I don't think we should be so greedy and continue to take more time of yours. Though I'm absolutely loving it. I still have more questions myself, but I think I'll hand over for today to Dr. Namita Gandhi for a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Surbhi. I, on behalf of the placement cell of Deshbandhu College, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Mr. Nitish Singh. A big thank you, sir, for updating our students who are soon going to graduate and enter this brute world of competition. There's a quote of Albert Einstein which says that there are 3 rules of work. Out of clutter, find simplicity. From discord, find harmony, and in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. So, sir, in these difficult days of COVID-19, you have guided our students to a path of opportunity and answered their queries also very patiently. And I would also like to acknowledge our gratitude to our principal, sir, for gracing the occasion and always giving us a positive for various activities of the placement cell. And a big thank you to our student volunteers of the placement cell for their involvement. They work very enthusiastically whenever the need be. And also a special thanks to Miss Monica from the computers department of our college for the logistics support. Thank you all once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.